Top 10 Navy destroyers in the world. Sao Paulo, Brazil. Sao Paulo was a Clemenceau-class aircraft carrier in service with the Brazilian Navy. Sao Paulo was first commissioned in 1963 by the French Navy as FOC and was transferred in 2000 to Brazil, where she became the new flagship of the Brazilian Navy. As Janes reported that during its career with the Brazilian Navy, Sao Paulo suffered from serviceability issues and never managed to operate for more than 3 months at a time without the need for repairs and maintenance. 3. On 14 February 2017, the Navy announced the ship's demobilization and subsequently decommissioning. Kiev-class, India. INS Vikramaditya is a modified Kiev-class aircraft carrier which entered into service with the Indian Navy in 2013. She has been renamed in honor of Vikramaditya, a legendary emperor of Ujjain, India. Originally built as Baku and commissioned in 1987, the carrier served with the Soviet Navy and later with the Russian Navy before being decommissioned in 1996. The carrier was purchased by India on 20 January 2004 after years of negotiations at a final price of $2.35 billion. The ship successfully completed her sea trials in July 2013, and aviation trials in September 2013. She was commissioned on 16 November 2013 at a ceremony held at Severodvinsk, Russia. On 14 June 2014, the Prime Minister of India formally inducted INS Vikramaditya into the Indian Navy and dedicated her to the nation.
Liaoning, China. Liaoning, a Type 1 aircraft carrier, is the first aircraft carrier commissioned into the People's Liberation Army Navy Surface Force. It is classified as a training ship, intended to allow the Navy to experiment and gain familiarity with aircraft carrier operations. Originally laid down in 1985 for the Soviet Navy as the Kuznetsov-class aircraft cruiser Riga, she was launched on 4 December 1988 and renamed Varyag in 1990. After the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, construction was halted and the ship was put up for sale by Ukraine. The stripped hulk was purchased in 1998 and towed to the Dalian Naval Shipyard in northeast China. The Kuznetsov-class, Russia. The Kuznetsov-class aircraft carrier was the last class of aircraft carrier commissioned into the Soviet Navy. The design represented a major advance in Soviet fleet aviation over the Kiev-class carriers, which could only launch VSTOL aircraft. As the first Soviet carriers to be built with aircraft ski jumps, the Kuznetsov-class carriers were capable of launching high-performance conventional aircraft. Only the lead ship Admiral Kuznetsov was completed and commissioned into the Soviet Navy, and the ship now serves in the Russian Navy.
The Nimitz-class, United States. The Nimitz-class supercarriers are a class of 10 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers in service with the United States Navy. The lead ship of the class is named after World War I United States Pacific Fleet Commander Fleet Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, the U.S. Navy's last fleet admiral. With an overall length of 1,092 ft and full load displacement of over 100,000 long tons, they have been the largest warships built and in service. All 10 carriers were constructed by Newport News Shipbuilding Company in Virginia. US Nimitz, the lead ship of the class, was commissioned on 3 May 1975, and US George H.W. Bush, the 10th and last of the class, was commissioned on 10 January 2009. Since the 1970s, Nimitz-class carriers have participated in many conflicts and operations across the world, including Operation Eagle Claw in Iran, the Gulf War, and more recently in Iraq and Afghanistan.